And welcome to your May State of the Industry for the Experience Brokerage Network. We actually have a very special hour planned for you because it's Red Day week. So we're going to talk all things giving, philanthropies, strategic in your business. So hold on tight. We got a lot to talk about. And like we do every time, we have new people. So we're going to introduce ourselves. I am Katie Hardman. I'm the Chief Opportunity Officer for the Experience Brokerage Network and the team leader of Keller Williams Sunset Corridor and Keller Williams Capital City. And I am joined by my co-host, Leslie.
I'm Leslie Hilbert. I'm the general manager of the amazing Experience Brokerage Network at 4 market centers here in the state of Oregon and the team leader of Keller Williams Eugene Springfield. And we do it every time because we have so many people that we are welcoming every single day, every single week, and every single month. So now you know who we are. But Katie, we're missing somebody today. Is he next on the slide?
He is next on the slide.
There he is. So we wanted to say, for those of you that are missing a little Chris in your world, our operating principal, he's not able to join us on the call this morning because he is prepping to bring you an incredible class a little bit later today at 11 o'clock with Brendan Bouchard, which is like a big deal, a hot topic, and it's going to be his Don't Quit presentation. I know that most of our market centers adjusted their schedules today to make sure that they could live stream this. So you can live stream it in your market center, or I'm going to drop a link in the chat box for those that you want to catch a little Chris in your day at 11 this morning. So that's all 3 of us, Katie.
That's all 3 of us. I don't know about you, but I immediately crossed my arms when I saw this picture, like copying Chris's new headshot. But I guess you could do like the Brendan. I don't know. We're excited for this. And here is our announcement of our 12 new family members across the state of Oregon. So we're super excited to constantly be growing and having new faces join our world. We're excited that each and every one of you are here. So thank you for partnering with us in business. And if you see one of these people on your Facebook page as an announcement or in your office at your team meetings, give them a big hug. Welcome them. We're glad they're here. We're glad all of you are here. Okay, now, like I said, tomorrow is Red Day. And if this is your first year in Keller Williams, Red Day is our national or our international day of service. It's where every Keller Williams person across the world gives to their community. So we call it Give Where We Live, and every single Keller Williams person has the opportunity to donate their time and or money to their community. So across the state of Oregon, we are participating in many projects. So I wanted to bring on each of our ALC Red Day chairs to talk to you about what they've been planning and working so hard on. So if you are in that area and haven't already heard, or you want to hear more about what we're doing, here is your opportunity. And we're going to start with Tim in Keller Williams Capital City, so in Salem. Tim, you want to tell us what we're doing for the KWCC office or with the KWCC office?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very excited. We're going to be partnering with an organization called Church at the Park, who serves the homeless community in the Salem area. And we're going to be meeting at their warehouse and putting together hygiene kits so that they can pass those out at a later date. So we'll be meeting there, putting those together in the morning, taking a little tour to see where they serve, how do they meet those needs, and then sharing a lunch together as well. So it's going to be a fun day of service.
So there's 2 ways to donate, right? You could come and donate in the day, or if you can't make it, you could donate monetarily to making the hygiene kits, correct?
Correct. You can go to churchatthepark.org and click on their give button. And then when you're filling out that giving page, at the very bottom, there's a comment box, and just type in Red Day and they'll know what it goes to.
Awesome. Thank you. This is going to be a really fun project, and it goes along the theme of home ownership or lack thereof, and helping people who need homes in getting farther along in their journey. So thank you, Tim, for putting this together.
You bet.
Next, we have Nick with Keller Williams Eugene Springfield. Nick, you want to tell us about your project?
Yeah, hi everybody. So Eugene Springfield this year, we're going to partner with the HIV Alliance, which is a an organization that was founded in Eugene to help support people living with HIV and AIDS and to prevent new infections. They have a pretty cool mini campus, right, where they have their clinic and all that good stuff. And we're going to go in there, totally revitalize the outside. We're going to do a bunch of landscaping, yard work. It should be really fun. And then we have some inside projects that are just like updating their bathrooms and some fixtures for their clients and their staff because they all work out of that building. Same thing, you can donate 2 different ways. You can sign up to come and be there, which obviously we want, and that'd be great. We also have a link in there if you want to donate for some of the items we're going to give. We also are going to make some care kits as well for their newly housed people in their programs. And so we could use money for that as well.
I love that. So if you want to enjoy the sun, you have an opportunity to be outside and do some labor outside. But if you don't want to be in the sun or want something indoors, you guys have both projects going on.
Yep. Both projects, both at the site. Should be really fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Okay, Mark, you want to tell us what's going on at Keller Williams Sunset Corridor?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, so our goal for this year's Red Day is to offer support to the community of Olson Woods. Olson Woods is an affordable housing community that offers low rents and features a supportive environment for people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. So we're going to be working outside, thankfully, again, for good weather, bringing back several aspects of the community's natural habitat. And we're going to be partnering with Home Builders Foundation. Lunch is provided. The poll went out, and we're going to be doing pizza and salad. So we've got plenty of gluten-free, vegetarian options provided by my better half, Pamela Zemp at Fidelity. So bringing it home with the family.
And you have 2 options as well. You can donate your time and your labor, or if you can't make it, donate monetarily to the project as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I'll drop a link in the chat right now for that, for the monetarily. Yeah, we're hoping to raise $1,500, and really a lot of that's just for the materials as far as Olson community is concerned. So the landscaping efforts there. Bring your own tools, gloves if you have them, long sleeves, long pants. We'll have plenty of water, beverages, etc. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to having everybody out.
Yes, love it. I hear there's a couple blackberry bushes, so
There might
wear
be.
sleeves.
But no picking.
No picking blackberries. Got it. Okay, and then Carly, I only have 4 flyers, but I hear you have 5 projects going on across the Southern Oregon. So tell us about all of these amazing things that you've been working on.
Well, it's been a joint effort, of course, and hello, everybody. Yeah, we have 5 locations, so therefore we have 5 projects. So they're not all just centered around our kind of mother area of Medford, but I'll just name kind of the information I have. So I'm in the Medford area, so that's the one I'm going to be directly involved in. And Medford Market Center is partnering with the Jackson County Animal Shelter, and we are doing a pet adoption and pet supplies drive. There will be donation opportunities of the supplies, but as well as monetary donations are, of course, welcome and accepted. In Grants Pass, they're going to be partnering with the Rogue Valley Humane Society and Remy's Garden Cleanup. I will admit, I'm not sure all of what that is, but I'm sure we have a Grants Pass liaison who can help us get some details on that. In Klamath Falls, we're going to be partnering with the Klamath Large Animal Shelter and doing a large animal donations drive. So again, I'm not directly in that one, and I know we have a liaison, but I'm going to guess we're accepting monetary donations as well as supplies. In Coos Bay, that we're partnering with Friends of Coos Bay Animals Pet Adoption and Supplies Drive. And then Roseburg, which is the only one missing up there, going to be partnering with CASA of Douglas County and doing a cleanup project for that.
Awesome. I love it. You guys, there's so many opportunities to donate your time. And this is something that is very near and dear to Keller Williams' heart, like to to give where you live and to donate to your community. So we hope that in some way, shape, or fashion, you can participate in one of our Red Day projects and give back to the community. It's not only something that Keller Williams loves, but it feels good and it's fun. And a lot of our projects are doing like lunches after, so you get to hang out with your coworkers. So I hope that you get to participate in some way, and that, oh, please take pictures. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you to take pictures and send them to your leadership team, because we will be putting together a video of all of our Red Day projects across the state of Oregon. So I want your pictures, your videos, your TikToks, your reels, whatever it is you're doing, please send them to your leadership team so we can get them in our wrap-up video. Please and thank you. All right, and thank you guys for sharing your projects. The one last thing I want to mention before we talk to our panelists is this week is Red Day. Next week is our open house extravaganza. So if you haven't heard from your leadership team or your principal broker yet, you will. We are going through, and thank you, principal broker team, because they're really spearheading this. We're going through and this week pulling all of our listings, and we'll be reaching out to say, hey, is the seller willing to hold this open on May 18th? And if they are you hosting, or do you have an agent hosting, or do you need someone to help host? And if you don't have a listing, we're going to be reaching out saying, would you like to host? And our goal is to hold open every single Keller Williams listing across the state of Oregon. So that's all 4 of our market centers, as well as the rest of the Keller Williams market centers in Oregon. So truly every Keller Williams listing across the state of Oregon is our goal to hold open on May 18th. So if you haven't heard from your leadership team, you can be proactive and reach out to them. If you have heard from your leadership team, thank you for participating in our open house extravaganza. We are super excited. Okay. Now, we have 3 amazing humans that, along the theme of donations and giving and philanthropy, we wanted to talk to these individuals who are incorporating that into their business and making it a part of how they build their business and how they give back to the community and how they intertwine. So welcome Lori and Matt and Nick to the call. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see your amazing faces. Thank you for being here today. I have questions for you. And if anybody else has questions as we hear from these amazing humans, put it in the chat and we will make this collaborative. But let's start with this. Why don't you tell us like who you are, where do you serve, like what's your community, how long you've been in the business, and what organizations are you involved in? So Matt, you're first on my screen, so I'm gonna start with you.
All right. I am Matt Kendall. I'm down here in Lane County in Eugene, Springfield area. Licensed since 2017. I'm on so many boards. My 2 main ones is I do Men Wear Pink, so promoting cancer research and the sort of defeating of breast cancer. And the other one is the Ronald McDonald House. So I'm on the board here in Springfield. I'm also on the governing board up in Portland, the philanthropy committee up there. And so, yes, I'm sort of all over the state while also focusing here in the Eugene Springfield area.
Yeah, and you serve multiple organizations, so that's awesome. Thank you for being here. Nick, you're next on my screen. You want to tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been in the business, what organizations you're part of?
Yeah. Hello again, everybody. I'm Nick West. I'm out of Eugene, also serving Lane County area. I've been in the business. I got my license in February 2020. It was such a good time. So about 4 years now. And I do quite a lot with the community, but I really focus in on 2 big nonprofits. I'm on the board for the HIV Alliance, which is the place where we're doing Red Day at. And then I'm also the vice president and the vendor coordinator for the Eugene Springfield Pride Association, which is who puts on the big Pride Festival in Eugene, as well as we give out scholarships to people to LGBTQ youth. And those are my 2 big ones.
Awesome, your 2 big ones. I love that. Thank you for being here. Lori, you are next on my screen. Tell us, how long have you been in the business? Where do you serve? What organizations are you a part of?
I started in 2007. I'm working mostly out of the Grants Pass Business Center. And I have various levels of involvement with several organizations. Probably the one that I'm most passionate about is keeping the libraries open in our county. And so I don't serve on a board right now, and I have started fundraisers for them and other activities that are ongoing, some of them. And what I've done is tried to move my giving into a more organized way for my team. And so we are supporting the library, Barnstormers Theater, which is a small and long continuously operating community theater in our town, and the Humane Society where we're working today, and the Women's Crisis Support Team that helps women fleeing domestic violence. So those are our 4 partnered organizations this year.
Wow, I love that. You spread the love. I love that you're involved in so many different organizations.
It's sort of an evolution for me in how I'm doing the giving, and we're adding different things each time to how we do it. So yeah.
I'm going to circle back on that, and there's a future question I'm going to ask, but I love that you said this year we're focusing on these organizations. So depending on where you're at in your business or what your focus is for that year or how much you want to give, you can say here's where we're able to focus, also probably depending on the need. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So my next question is, I would imagine in some cases, the involvement in a specific organization came from being involved in the real estate industry. I'm in the real estate industry, I want to get involved in my community. Or however, it could go the opposite way. You were involved in an organization, said, how could this partner with my business? So tell me a little bit about how you got involved, how you identified an organization that either aligned with your values or helped you in your business, and which came first. And we'll go backwards this time. Lori, why don't we start with you?
Well, when the libraries closed here, I got involved with things to do to try to get them opened back up. So my involvement, I think, started with a need that I feel really strongly about in the community. I wouldn't move someplace that didn't have a public library. And so I got involved through that, and then saw that I could maybe support it through my business too. So at that time I was donating. I just said, I'm going to donate $50 from every closed transaction to the library fund. And so that's how my giving strategy started. And I've done other things to help the library raise money, but I've now kind of moved it into how I can do it in that way, where it's it's tied to what I'm doing in my business. Since I'm not a solo agent anymore, we selected other organizations. So it's not just about my passion. So Tanae has been the president of the board for Barnstormers Theater. So that one is kind of hers. And Sunda really wanted to work with the animals. And so she selected the Humane Society. When Sam was working with me, he wanted wildlife images. So it feels like it's nice to reflect the interests of the people on the team through our giving. I guess that's probably good.
Yeah,
I could just keep talking.
You had an interest, and so you involved yourself in that community or that organization, and then connected it to your business. I love that. Nick, what about you? What came first, the real estate or the involvement? And how did you choose to align with those organizations?
So it's funny because mine actually came at a really similar time, because, or at least when I first started getting involved, because in my previous life where I worked, it was, a 50, 60 hour work week. You're there every day kind of thing. So even if I really wanted to get involved with anything, I truly didn't really have the time or opportunity. When I switched into real estate, I then had the opportunity and time. And so that kind of inspired me to begin to get involved. I, would go to events and kind of be like, oh, this is cool. I want to be part of this. And then, like I said, with transitioning into real estate, that allowed that time to be there. And so those two kind of came right at the same time, right? Since then, I've been because of my previous involved group, and then switching back. Oops, sorry. Oh, yeah, and then being part of that group, and then being asked to be part of another group that aligns with where I'm at and my goals and all that.
So you, through one organization, like grew into another organization and were like,
Yeah.
the giving just kept giving.
Yeah, no, it started like, I truly started as like a tiny little volunteer position. Oh, this will be fun to do. And then that kind of just grew into being more of like a working, like literally working, like it's not all fun, right? As another part. And then that kind of grew then to being deeper involved in the logistics side of being like a board member and kind of being more even on the organization and planning of nonprofits.
Yeah. Are there
So it kind
any,
of snowballed.
yeah, well, and like I would imagine like anytime you're good at something, like people ask you to like speak or be on a board or be involved. So were there factors or things that you considered when deciding to donate more time or more resources or more funds to more organizations? Did you have any like strategic considerations?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. When I initially started, like I said, it was just actually a way to kind of get out there, right? I had this new career going and I had the time and the availability to do it and the want also. In the back of my mind too, I'm like, great, this will be a great way to network. This is my community, who I chose to work with and where I decided to go was something that was honestly close to my heart anyways. I like to think that even if I wasn't in real estate, that I would have, if I had the time, gone and helped and worked with these nonprofits in these communities. Yeah, but part of it in the back of my mind too is like networking. Like that's where it all kind of started. When I went to the previous board president of where I wanted to volunteer, which was Eugene Pride, he kind of interviewed me back and forth and we talked about where I came from. And, it was this kind of corporate retail background with a lot of customer service. And then he immediately was like, oh, well, would you like to, be the vendor coordinator? And then that just kind of was like, oh, great. Yes, this is going to be business to business. I love this. Great. That's kind of what I did in my previous world. And so then that really solidified that right there. And then, like I said, it just kind of became this aspect of I used to spend so much time on the clock working, but not actually doing anything with the community at all. I knew nothing. I knew nobody. And I just wanted to get out there as well.
I love that. Your passion came first.
It fully did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it aligned with your business. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Matt, you are also heavily involved in multiple organizations. So how did you identify your causes or your organizations? And did that come first or did you get involved because of your business? Like tell me a little bit about that story.
Yeah. So, I worked 14 years at Costco. And so every year, actually, I think it's right now in May, they do the Children's Miracle Network. And so it's funny because, at Costco, subjectively, they have a great wage, they have good benefits. So there was always an opportunity to have a little bit of extra money and knowing that I can give back to that organization. And so when I got into real estate, I thought, how do I do this? I don't have a lot of money. Like I'm brand new. I have a lot of time. You either have a lot of money and no time, right? Or like $0, but you have a boatload of time. So I was like, okay, how do I get business, right? And selfishly, a buddy of mine was like, hey, you want to join the board? And I was like, well, probably could get a deal or two out of this. And so I took the meeting. And for me personally, from then on, I was like, I'm all in. I'm hearing all these stories about families. Again, because we just had 2 kids and they were healthy, and you just sort of, that's what everybody does, right? Like, not that hard. And then I meet these families that are like literally going through, nightmare scenarios. And I thought, okay, I'm all in, right? And so I wasn't necessarily able to relate to either one. Same thing with Real Men Wear Pink. Like, again, selfishly in my own little bubble of like comfort, I didn't recognize how crazy and how traumatic and how many people really are affected by breast cancer, because I didn't feel like I had it exactly like in my life. My wife didn't have it, my mom didn't have it. Like, just it sort of just exists for other people. And then I started to meet people and I go, oh my gosh, I'm all in. Like, I can do this, right? And so for me, that's been the big thing is really, I think one sort of parlays to the next, because once I got on the board with the Ronald McDonald House, then everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're crushing it over there. Do you want to do this thing? Do you want to do this thing? And you just sort of get, it's a slippery slope because you can get a lot of interest. And right now that I'm up to 2 things, one of them being 3 separate committees all in one, right? So now I'm at 4 different like sort of veins of you know, giving my time and or money. Now people ask me and I have to kind of vet this situation, right? Because I want to make sure damn, that's true, right? And I think that is actually a good example is the participation, right? And I know that might be another question, but is how do you not get overwhelmed with those things? Because I think, you know, body in motion stays in motion, right? And so once you take that first step to take that first meeting, you become sort of this I think almost accidentally like beacon of, hey, this guy's willing to do this thing, hey, maybe I can do this thing too, right? And so then it just creates this culture in the community. And so yes, without trying to get too overwhelmed, I've narrowed my focus to those couple of organizations. And but again, happy to, you know, write a check for somebody else doing something else, or you know, my kids, I love the library, so hey, I'm thinking, okay, great, how can I participate, right? Maybe I donate $50 and buy some books or whatever, right? And so it's those kind of things. Maybe I can't necessarily be on the board of something else, but I'm happy to help. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for being transparent, first of all, like that that the business thought was in there, because I think a lot of us probably think that like, let's get involved because we're passionate, but also we are running businesses that the purpose of business is to make a profit, is to have a business. So when you start to get these opportunities to get involved in more things and donate to more things and be on more committees, what factors do you consider when deciding to donate your time and your resources?
You mean outside of the ones that I do now?
Or maybe to decide that those were the ones to be on the 4 committees or something future. Are there like things you're like, it has to have this, this, and this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my approach has really been, how can I, like, I don't have you know, $25 million in the bank where I can just be writing $100,000 checks and never miss it, right? I'm also not destitute, so there is a money factor. So I'm like, hey, how can I contribute monetarily, right? Like KW Cares, every transaction. I buy bottles of wine, right? Because the Ronald McDonald House gets $20 for every bottle I buy, so it's a bit of a win-win for everybody, right? And so it's like, yes, you can be on a board and you can spend time, and that is like actual, like something that your physical body needs to be a part of. And as long as the organization has opportunity, yes, if I can be on the board, great. If I can buy a case of wine, also great, right? Like, what is the sort of impact of both my personal life, my business life, my just rest and relaxation life? Like, how involved do I need to be? And if there's a multi-pronged approach, then I'm happy to help at least in one of those ways, right?
Yeah. So that goes right into my next question, which is, how has community involvement, we talked a little bit about this earlier, how has community involvement positively impacted your business?
Well, I mean, just on a very basic level, I've got multiple deals from both of those organizations. Like, both boards like are like, hey, I saw this house, you know, do you, in fact, I just was talking to an owner of multiple McDonald's, and she's like, hey, I'm thinking about buying some commercial properties, can you help? And I was like, let's go, right? Like, which I never would have met an owner of 8 McDonald's had I not been on this board, right? And so those things, that sort of train is sometimes slow because there's some level of like proving yourself to the board, right? but yeah, I mean, multiple deals and also being able to help their businesses as well. I really think that, again, body motion stays in motion, right? If I'm going out there and giving 5-star reviews to businesses that I believe in and organizations that I believe in, right, that comes back tenfold. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Nick, what about you? How has community involvement positively impacted your business?
I mean, kind of same as Matt there. I mean, it's a great way to network. Okay. And I can easily measure that I've met people and gotten referrals and deals done out of it that I never would have met had I not been involved in these organizations. You know, I mean, straight up, that's based, that's like, that's the main thing. Like I can easily say that there's a handful of people that I know and know me that I wouldn't have and wouldn't know me if I hadn't gotten out there and done face to face and on the ground work.
Is that the metric that you use to measure your impact on your business, like number of people or number of deals? Like what are those factors for you?
So it's kind of a tough question because, like, to be transparent, to be honest, right? I haven't actually come up with a system of metrics that are like, this is how many people I met, this is how many leads I've gotten from this. I chose organizations that are near and dear to my heart anyways, that again, like I say this, I like to think that I would have done this anyways, right? And so for me, that's my measurement, right? In certain events or things that take a lot of time, I go, okay, in my brain, is this going to be worth it for me? Not just on like getting out there in the community. Am I going to get something back from this? The answer has always been yes so far. Right. And that is the goal, right? That's an end goal as well. But I don't have like a metric because it's a hard thing. I've thought about it, right? And like, how much money am I putting in? What am I getting out of it? And like I said, I don't have that down, but I can say that if I break it down to its most simple level, in my heart and in my bank account, it seems to be worth it.
I love that. In your heart and in your bank account. Is there a way that you make sure to, or maybe it's not make sure to, but how do these people know that you're involved in real estate so you do have a return on your business? Do you do you sponsor events? Do you talk about real estate? Like, how do you put that little plug in there?
Yes. So there's so many ways, right? Like, we all know it's topic of conversation that you make as a real estate agent. It's something that you talk about. For me, yes, I do sponsor a bunch of events. I also use our community like event center in the office to hold some board meetings, right? So that's even just how I have people on the board that are like higher up in there. We have and kind of like share that and make it be part of the community also. Another thing that I feel like Matt will also agree with this is the and Lori, like, let me know too, is the kind of higher up you go in these, and when you start really getting into the nitty gritty of it, it allows you also to even like sponsor at a higher level, and kind of then see more what is working for you. But yeah, I do sponsor events. I definitely do. 2 of the organizations that I'm with have huge events once a year, and I am a large on those posters.
The more you donate, the bigger your logo is.
Yeah, well, and then like again, so one of these that I'm with is I am the vendor coordinator. So I deal back and forth with 200 vendors for this event. And I ask them for sponsorships too. So like, you better believe it comes up in conversation all the time.
Yeah. I just imagine you talking to yourself like, Nick, do you want to sponsor? Okay, sure.
Oh, yeah, 100% that. I mean, my phone number is very out there. If there's anything anybody wants to know, I have my little caller ID set up on my phone. And so if I'm calling back and forth with anybody, it's pretty clear what I'm doing. And so, yeah.
I love that. Hot tip, be the vendor coordinator for the organization. Okay, love that. Lori, what about you? How do you measure the impact of your charitable giving on your business?
We're not really measuring like a dollar volume that we get out of it. I think partly because we're doing it because we're passionate about the organizations and we want to help, excuse me, our community. So we're really looking for ways on how we can provide greater impact for those organizations. And this year we've taken the Give Where We Live campaign and kind of tried to make it our own. And we actually have sign writers now that say a Give Where We Live home. And because we're making a donation to those organizations with each closing, we want people to know that we're doing that. So it's being incorporated in some of our marketing materials, that sort of thing. And we have each client select which of the organizations they want their $100 to be donated to. So it's kind of a fun way for us to promote those organizations. We took this year we're doing educational free classes. They're not all real estate related. Some of them are, like a buyer seminar, but we did one on planned and strategic giving, and we invited our database and our community to come in, and we had financial planners speak. And then we had 3 organizations, nonprofits, talk about things that people could do to support them. Put them in their will is obviously one, but what other things can you do to get involved? So it was a chance for us to showcase them. So I feel like my focus with the giving is more about the giving than tracking, like how many dollars are we donated versus what we get. I know we do have clients that we have met through our involvement with the various organizations. Sometimes it's somebody, that just knows us from something we've been doing. And sometimes it's like the library actually hired me to be their realtor because somebody had donated some piece of land. I mean, it wasn't like a big deal, but it was a piece of land that they had been given, and they now wanted to move it into cash to do something else with. So I was the listing agent that the Library Foundation hired. So that was kind of cool. But usually it's more somebody that we've met through work we're doing, and we're not really tracking the dollars specifically.
Yeah. I love that all of you guys have a passion for these organizations. Lori, how you've gotten business from these organizations, so how have you like slipped that in there and how make sure that the organizations know you're in real estate?
Oh, I think a lot of times I don't want to be too obvious about it. We try to wear branded shirts a lot of times on days that we're going to meetings so that you don't have to say anything. I have a Empower real estate shirt, and I try to wear it once a week or so to my pickleball class because I want the people there. It's like not easy to get into a conversation, but that's just a very simple way to promote what you do. I don't really know that it's like people are getting to know you. It's all about those relationships. So as you're involved with an organization, then those things kind of come up organically, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm sure through promoting the classes and the signs that say Give Where We Live home, like those things help to like correlate the two together.
Yes.
I love that.
And also when I send those donations in, I'm also giving them the name and address of the person that selected them, and they do thank you letters. So it's just kind of a, going all around.
Yeah, I love that. How do you balance, because you're involved in multiple organizations and your team is involved in multiple organizations. How do you balance the demand of your real estate business with your commitments to the community and your involvement?
It sort of ebbs and flows. Sometimes we're really, really busy with something that's going on with one of the organizations, and it's really important to spend extra time doing that thing. And then other times, we're really busy with what's happening in real estate. And so maybe we have to step back. And I think it's just like we do a work-life balance with our family, we have to do that with our giving also.
Yeah, that makes sense. Matt, what about you? How do you balance the 4 organizations or the 4 boards, the 4 committees, and like keeping up with your busy real estate business?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sort of just circles back a little bit to like, I have a passion for these organizations, but figuring out, yes, when there's that ebb and flow, when I'm super busy, because obviously you're not, I mean, that's just the way this real estate works, right? You're not necessarily busy every hour of every day of every week. may seem like that sometimes, right? But in those situations, I say, okay, you know what? I got to miss this auction committee meeting. Like I got to, but here I'm going to write some notes and figure out ways to sort of work around that. Or if it's, hey, somebody wants me to join the board, then I just say, hey, you know what? I'll give you $100 and I still want to champion this thing. But genuinely, I mean, in fact, this actually happened just yesterday, is I have a field trip for my kids that's coming up. I think it's next Friday. And I was slated to go to the hospital to donate some time, like for like a snack cart. And I emailed Robin last night and I was like, hey, like awkward. I know that we had this conversation, but how can I still support you in this? Maybe I can reach out to the rest of the board and say, hey, totally my fault. I didn't realize this field trip was going to come up. My 13-year-old is only 13 once. He's going to be like graduating 8th grade. I want to be there for this event. Right. And so this takes precedent. I still love you, but this takes precedent, and sort of get creative with that. And again, also, I think that when you're on these boards, I think there is also some level of balance where the people just know, and you just have a heart to heart and just say, hey, here's the deal. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I just don't think that I can do it right now. And we have 2 people on our board right now that are kind of in that same spot. And they're like, this is just a lot. And I'm like, oh, I know. I know it's a lot. Let me tell you, I hear you loud and clear. If you need to step back, totally fine. How can we still sort of weave you back into this game without maybe necessarily making you involve yourself in time, because they have 4 kids, right? Like, it's twice as many kids as me. That's a lot, right, for anybody. And so kind of find your niche, I guess, and still be able to participate without feeling bad about not sometimes, because you just can't, right? You just can't be all things for all people all the time.
Yeah.
Even though we all want to, right? Or feel obligated to sometimes, right?
Yeah, I love that. You had said, like, almost have that conversation going into it, whether it's with yourself or with the organization. Like, I can be a little bit fluid here, and that means that sometimes I'm flowing this way and sometimes I'm flowing this way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think that they also, I mean, even just yesterday, we had a meeting about our auction that's in September, and I said, hey, I got to go show this house at 5:30. And she goes, listen, I know you're super busy, so we're going to try and cut the meeting short for you. And I was like, don't cut it short for me. Cut it short, like, if that's what you've already decided to do, because the other 3 people on the committee need to go somewhere else. Right. So having those conversations, right, still gets you in the door to help that group. But at the end of the day, it sort of levels the playing field a little bit, so that nobody feels bad if we got to cut it 15 minutes short, you know?
Yeah. The other thing you said that I love is, you didn't say it exactly this way. This is how I understood it, but find other ways to support. Like, if you can't be there, like, you're going to donate monetarily, or you're going to send the message so this person doesn't have to be the fall guy. So, like, find other ways to support when you can't be there physically.
This is one of the things that Nick and I have talked about with Red Day, is like, yes, do we want everybody in our entire brokerage to show up? 100%. That should, the day that you sign on the dotted line with KW, your brain and heart should be aligned to do that, right? However, again, like my kid's field trip, it doesn't always happen, and that's okay. So throw $25 in the hat. Or if you have a pressure washer, drop it at my office and I'll use it tomorrow. Or like, figure out some way that, again, if you have either a ton of time, great, show up. Please show up. That should be your brain and heart, again, should do that. If you can't, cool, cut me a check. Or if you can't do either one of those things, totally fine. Go make a TikTok video. Go make an Instagram post. Like, help push out that message, so that the rest of us, when we're there, people then see us and go, wow, KW is contributing. KW is, right? And so that just sort of parlays to all of our nonprofits that we're all a part of.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for saying that. Nick, what about you? How do you balance your real estate business and all of your involvement in the community?
I mean, honestly, it's, I'm going to totally match what Lori and Matt both said. And, especially what Lori said, but a lot of it is, it goes up and down, right? So for me, the things that I'm involved with, big things that happen each year is certain events. Those events have a specific time. There's going to be times of the year where I'm really working hard. It's almost like a full-time second job working on those events. And then after that, then there's downtime, right? And then there's build up time back to that. So a lot of that is just kind of figuring out that. But the two orgs that I'm really involved in, each big event that would take up a bunch of my time is like 6 months apart from each other. So it's kind of nice, right? And that's just how that works out for me, and how I also got kind of asked to help with this other event because, well, I'm not doing anything for the other one now. But a lot of it, yeah, is like, you just kind of have to realize, and if you're going to put your heart into it, that it isn't all just going to be fun and, networking. It is actually going to be work too, if you're putting yourself into it. And like I said, for me, it's, I know that my August is going to be crazy, and it's for a huge event that happens for me in August, right? And then I know that in September, that's kind of me month. That's about me. And then it all kind of cycles over and starts again.
Yeah, you almost.
It's tough to balance. It is tough though, especially when you like have a good time doing it, right? Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm super in this, and I'm gonna spend a bunch of time doing volunteering and working, and you're fine with that.
Yeah. Well, and one of the first things we learned through Ignite or joining Keller Williams is to set your calendar in advance. And so what I love about what you said is like, you have this event and 6 months later you have this event. And so you can plan in advance to say, okay, well, I know more time is going to be spent in my personal life or with these philanthropies at that time. So like plan accordingly, plan the business around that, which is exactly what we learn. So I love that. Yes, I love it. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist, Sarah. So Nick, sticking with you, what advice would you give on how real estate agents can integrate charitable giving into their business model?
So the biggest thing to me is, I think, find something for you that you're actually going to care about, right? Because if you're forcing yourself to do it, then your heart's not going to be in it, and then it's just going to feel like a more tedious, and something you're not going to want to do. So my advice is to like find something that matches where you want to give, right? Don't just do it to give. Find something that actually matters to you. Okay, and then here's my other dumb advice. Throw an event, right? Throw an event. That is how you can meet people to start this. Okay, so like, or go to an event. Like I went to my first event, and that's what snowballed this whole thing. And obviously I'm an event person, right? As this kind of is showing. Throw an event. Okay, so then you can also, if you want to just kind of start giving back to the community, you can throw an event, a client appreciation, friends and family, and just make it that moment. Say, oh, hey, by the way, if you want to buy this or give this, or almost like a cover charge for your event, but all this is going here, that's a perfect way to start it, right? And just kind of dip your toe into that giving, and then kind of start also being a person who is known to give back and help with the community, right? But yeah, that's my advice. Is like my big one is to find something that actually matches your heart to do.
I love that, because you're going to be passionate and want to give your time where you're passionate and your heart's at. So I love that advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lori, what about you? What advice would you give to someone who wants to add charitable giving to their business model?
I think we're all sort of saying that the involvement is part of it. Like I get more value out of it, I think, on a personal level, and also in terms of what it brings my business. If I'm actually involved in the organization, if I'm, I don't want to be specific, but one of those organizations we don't have ties to, I'm just sending a check when they're selected, and there's no real connection. I don't really get the same energy from it or the give back. So I would say that it isn't, if you're picking something and you're passionate about it, if you can try to give some time, not just money, that I think that makes a big difference in the results and how you feel about it.
Yeah, I love that. Find something you're passionate about and then connect with the organization.
Right.
Give your time. So, and then you could probably talk about it a lot better too. Like then you know what the organization is doing, then you can be a spokesperson for it as well when you're involved. Love that. Matt, what about you? What advice would you give?
Well, I was just going to piggyback on that and say that, I think one of the big things too is there is some level of overwhelm where there is a lot, like we've talked about a lot today, right? And it sounds like, oh my gosh, I have to be a part of a board. I have to be doing all these things. And the truth is, from day one, when I signed on the dotted line with KW, right, like everything was aligned, but I also recognized out of every deal, I just give $25 to KW Cares. Like my brain just said, $25. It's not going to impact me. No one's going to miss it. That's maybe 3 coffees, probably more like 2 now, right? And so it sort of, once you start that just automatic giving, even on the very smallest level, it just puts you in a mindset, I think, of what else can I do, right? What's the next step? And I think then when you do have those, go to those events, throw those parties, like do those things, right? When then you have that talking point of, oh, wow, yeah, we are giving already. Obviously you don't have to tell the amount if it's $25 necessarily. But then someone says, whoa, wow, you're philanthropic. Like you're not just looking to go get that white Mercedes like every other realtor is, right? And yes, if you want to write a giant check and be on 25 boards and you have a huge team, then more power to you. Do it, make the world a better place. But if not, that's totally okay. And there's no shame in that, that you're not, that having to do all those things means that you're philanthropic. Every tiny little piece. When we do the donation thing for Men Wear Pink, right, I put my link on there. I buy domains like people buy t-shirts, but so I have like 45 domains now, I think. But I put it out there, I say, hey, you know, if you want to give $20, great. If you have 10 grand, like that would be amazing, but don't feel obligated and just kind of find out what you're best, what you feel passionate about. Start small, start with just the participation points, right? Just one foot after another, give $20 here, give $20 there. And then as that business grows, right, you have even bigger opportunity to really, I mean, now every year I buy a table at the RMHC thing, and I think it's, I don't know, $1,500 or $2 grand or whatever. But it's an opportunity for me to bring people in, right? And I say, hey, you're going to be part of this event. I called the San Francisco Giants yesterday to try and get some tickets. We're talking to the LA Chargers. We're talking to the LA Dodgers. I got friends in Arizona for a trip for the auction. Like it's sort of all of those moving pieces gets people excited. And then even just having those conversations, obviously you don't have to do it to that scale. I'm on the auction committee, so that's why I'm doing that. But right, small, but as long as it's just consistent, I think that can make a huge difference in your business for sure. And at least just in your heart and your brain by itself, I think is totally worth it.
Yeah, you're right. We're part of an organization that has charitable aspects attached to it. So if you don't know where else to
Yeah.
give, you can always give to KW Cares or Kids Can or some KW Next Gen, some of those
Yeah.
organizations, and it doesn't have to be big. It can be small until you find the place where you want to give big or can't get to the place where you can give big. So thank you for saying that. Any last words, the three of you, that you want to make sure that we didn't talk about that you want to share before we wrap? Speak now or forever. Hold your peace. I'm just kidding. Okay. Anybody have questions for these fine humans? Bill wants to know where you get your coffee that's so stinking expensive.
I know. I'm sorry, Bill. I apologize. Yesterday I bought a coffee for $11.50 and I was like, this is only because we're at this committee meeting that I'm buying it, because that's where we're at. So
Fair.
I don't know. I don't do that on a regular basis, everybody. Okay. This is not, I'm not looking to that was
a reputation, my friend.
That was a circumstantial situation, let me tell you.
I love it. Well, thank you guys for giving your time today to help spread the word about charitable giving and strategic giving in your business. We appreciate you guys. We hope that everybody participates in Red Day tomorrow. Take pictures, send them to us, and we'll see you next month. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.